Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies. It has been a while. Hizashiburi desu. And what a better way to start things off than by a long overdue look at naval forces. I got into War Thunder Naval during the buy-in to the beta test back when it was SPAA on water, and it has been truly remarkable, without any exaggeration or sarcasm. Just the growth of War Thunder Naval, watching it grow from the bottom into what is by far the most enjoyable, the most beautiful, and the most tactically diverse, accessible PvP killing things on water experience you can have in this world, as far as I'm aware. And as far as beauty goes, I just literally blows everything else out of the water. This is a gorgeous game mode, and unfortunately with what video compression and YouTube compression does to water, it's really slaughtered by the YouTube experience. But trust me, when you've got a high definition monitor and a decent kit running this, and again, currently and iteratively, fairly well optimized, heavily developed, that's something that, to put all negativity aside, to start the new year off with joy and gratitude, which is really something that a friend of mine has been bringing up, and it's so important, guys. I'm a father of 3. Gratitude goes so far in this world, and ingratitude cuts so deeply when you are the one that is making those sacrifices, that is devoting your time, and your kids are like, "Oh, what you just cooked me? I hate this. It makes me want to barf. I would rather die, Father, than eat what you have put as our sup. How very dare you, motherfucker." Uh-oh, we didn't quite make it to 3 minutes in. But literally, I fucked their mother. Gratitude, is that what I was talking about here? I'm popping into my mic. This is a new mic, by the way. One of the reasons I haven't been making voiceover is my blue Snowball died. The USB port died. So I'm in the habit of unplugging microphones when I'm not using them, because, well, you know why. Google listens, and it's fucking annoying. I'm an old man. I don't like being advertised to based upon what I'm talking about in my living room. So, pet peeve. I'm not worried about it. It just legitimately bothers me. Did I get off topic a bit? Am I getting a little ectopic over here? Shimakaze. That's right. This is 15 ready when you are torpedo tubes with good firing arcs, with availability on either side of the vessel. Shimakaze is a torpedo menace. It has the best torpedoes in the game by far, currently, until the post-war Cold War era guided torpedoes with their under-vessel blast effect are properly modeled in the game. They do exist, but they're just exceptionally shitty versions of a dumb-firing torpedo, which is not what they are. So the Soviets and the USA and some of the NATO countries, those torpedoes are already represented in-game, but right now, the wrong rants Japanese torpedoes. I think that's Type 93 Mod 1, Mod 2. You know what to look for. It has like 50 miles per hour speed, or is it 39? Something like that. It's really good. It's much better than average, but it has around 1,000 kilos of effective high explosive in the form of its Shimakaze warhead and a 20-kilometer range, which those two things combined mean that you can one-shot battleships from further than they can actually see you. So pretty freaking good. And you can see that we were just doing circles in the Shimakaze there and picking up 5 kills. There's a bit of a cut, but we are cut for time here, much like an Israeli youth. But on the 6th day, I think it's the 6th day, right? Or is it the 8th day? On the 8th day, circumcised according to the traditions of the fathers. But at the hospital, my boy got cut on the 1st day, and he wasn't real happy about it. Maybe it was the 2nd or 3rd day. I can't remember. Anyway, where were we? We were bombing things. So I wanted to talk about Japan Arcade Naval. Naval's beautiful. It's literally beautiful, and I've been with this game mode from the beginning, and for quite a while I was just kind of checking in, checking out, and I didn't really have a consistent good time. Naval is extremely unbalanced. There are, close-in weapons kits that these vehicles have, the enemy vessels have, that can just shred aircraft at way further out than like a reasonable engagement range for a lot of the equipment you're going to have at these BRs. And there's also HEVT and radar fuse, high caliber, high explosive cannon rounds that can reach out and touch you. And there's even Cold War era guided anti-aircraft missiles in the forms of the harpoons on the premium Douglas that the USA has access to. USA has access to the best SPAA in-game, and it floats on the water at a battle rating of 4.0. The USA has the best cannons in the game at every tier. And especially the destroyers are just, the US destroyers are so good that they've just been given to everyone. That's how good they are in terms of their cannons. And yet, the ridiculous and specific ways that naval vessels are way overpowered and unbalanced, it actually sort of balances out. You make enough cuts in those square wheels and things start to actually roll. You've got yourself a gear, my friend. And the trick is really getting everything into its niche and finding out where that is. And Naval is still such an emerging environment in War Thunder that those things are still shifting around. And so it is madness. And at the same time, with the spotting system in Naval, it's a lot more relaxed in terms of like blind old man hand-holding, which I appreciate as a blind old man. Blind old man Moo. I make home videos. Moo is a rabbit that lives outside my house, and I love him so very much. Might be a girl rabbit actually, but I call all my rabbits him because they all act like gay boys anyway. I think most of them are gay boys. So, segue back to whatever I was supposed to be talking about. This brings us to Japanese naval. I talked about how American cannons are just by far by far the best DPS in the game. And then you've got things like the Scharnhorst that has, you know, just a great overall kit and turtleback armor, and it seems just indestructible sometimes at certain ranges. And then other battleships, battle cruisers, heavy cruisers even, they get at their optimal range and they can punch way above their weight. It's really, Naval is so much about tactical positioning, being in the right place at the right time, targeting the right types of enemies, and yes, the rule of thumb, shit on anything smaller than you does apply quite a bit. But if you're a battleship using your main guns to shoot at destroyers that are at 12 kilometers away from you, and even with perfect aim you're still bracketing your shots and over penetrating your target, or smacking it with a high explosive that doesn't do the kind of damage you need it to for your abysmal hit rate and fire rate, and then you're kind of wasting your time. Even though you can, you know, just shit on someone who's much smaller than you, you'd probably be better served doing something else. And I think that basically what I'm saying is Naval can often be a break from the usual War Thunder spot the dot and kill someone with the first strike or die routine, and it really offers something different, something a little bit more about positioning and target optimization and utilizing the specifics of your vessel to do well. And of course all of that falls apart on some maps, and we'll get into that more when I get back onto the subject, after I just finish polishing off the bronze knob that is War Thunder Naval. And of course I'm talking specifically about arcade here, because arcade is the Chad game mode of War Thunder Naval. There's, as I mentioned, there's more hand-holding, which is really important for this game mode. Naval RB, and is there a SB? I don't even think there is. Naval RB is really basically the same ingredients, just with a little bit more crust on them. So it's meant to feel more immersive and realistic, but essentially it's the same process, just with less fun. And normally I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't describe other arcade game modes like that, because they're more action oriented, but like the aiming system is just way easier to use in arcade, and it does the same thing. So just many reasons arcade is just a lot better, in my personal opinion, which is why I'm constantly playing it and not the other game modes. And it's time for me to move on. I've said this before. We're talking about Japan here, and things are going to get a little bit hilarious at some point in this video. And this it's probably either going to be a long video or an edited down video where it sounds like I have schizophrenia because I've done all of this voiceover, and then I'm just going to be cutting most of it out, which is probably appropriate, but we'll see if I have the time. Or if I'm just gonna, you know, shit out a 40-minute video because, like, dude, I'm just doing other things, right? I've got rabbits, I have a Corgus, I have 3 children, I have, like, adult responsibilities, and I want to get a garden planted this year, and I gotta build a fence to build a garden. So it's just, you know, I got stuff going on. I gotta make a dump run tomorrow. I've got a trailer full of stuff. Yes, it is garbage from 6 months ago when I moved into my new house, but I have ADD, in case you hadn't noticed. But my main goal is to blow up, and my secondary goal, I really just want to entertain you people and make a personal connection. I'd like you to know that you matter, that you're the most important as a human being. You are the entire, you're You're the most important thing on the planet, person. And you specifically, you matter. And it is good enough, it is worth my time to just put a smile on your face and help you through the what's the word? The cruel minutes of life, the careless, whatever. Robert Frost. I can't remember right now, but something about not tearing your hair out when confronted with the just interminability of a moment spent being bored off your cracker. So I take that at 16 minutes into the video as a good opportunity to get back on track. So basically, Japan Naval is different than other navals on account of you will encounter things in this Japanese naval that you're not used to seeing in a naval. And the main thing that you'll encounter that's really special about Japanese navals is what they have filled their torpedoes with. So these things are just, they're ridiculous. They're so cool. They're historically just overkill in the most delightful way possible. And in a video game where real lives are not on the line, you can just appreciate how cool it is that these people have access to basically 2 or 3 times the firepower per torpedo tube that everyone else had, if not more. I'm looking at you Italians, you should be ashamed. Cover your face, don't leave port. I think you're pretty cool. So that was Shimakaze, right? 15 torpedo tubes, good firing angles. This is something completely different. Mikuma, right? This thing, Mikuma, is a very different beast. And so first off, we fired our 6 torpedoes mounted in the into the sides of the hull on sort of swiveling torpedo launchers, and they're in the process of a rapid reload. In the meantime, I have desynchronized the main guns. So we have 15 cannon barrels firing AP, HE rounds, or they might just be known as armor-piercing rounds in the naval world, because most of the AP rounds in naval cannons have an explosive filler, a burst charge. And AP seems to be the most reliable in terms of damage against almost every vessel in this situation. So I just use AP. I roll with AP, and I don't actually roll with enough AP, and that's going to come into play later. But I mentioned desynchronizing the guns. This is a strategy that it might not at first glance seem to be a huge advantage as I flashbang you with my long green shaft. Sorry about that. Usually I don't jam it into the camera like that, but it's a special occasion. You'd think, okay, desynchronize the guns, I get it. You just keep firing ranging shots until they're doing this machine gun effect here. So go to your controls, set up ranging shot, and desynchronize the guns. They clickety, clickety, clickety until you're just continuously firing like this. And you think, because I told you to think this, oh neat, you can adjust your fire, and then you miss with a few shots, and you can set up your sort of rain of fire to rain down on the enemy, and that way you don't miss with an entire salvo, you just miss with a few shots, and you do your little adjustments, and you can even weave it around and sort of spread your fire around the enemy vessel. But what this really does is, generally speaking, you'll kill enemy vessels about, I'd say around 30% faster, and that just has to do with looking at all these fires, and hull damage and crew compartment damage. When you spread damage across the length of an enemy vessel in War Thunder Naval, you need to be silent when I'm on the microphone. I'm making a video. When you spread, there's a creature out here. She always comes out after like bedtime for her daddy time. So she loves to just have me all to herself when she's basically part chinchilla. I owned a chinchilla. I named her Mary Jo, and she used to be she would get like zoomy at like 3 a.m. So this is my Brooklyn. This is my tank baby. We go way back. We've been together for 7 years, and I think she's just pretty great. But also, if she talks, I'm going to I don't know, I'm gonna dislocate her pinky. Cartoonish violence is the only threats of violence that I give to my kids, but
I only came here because
alright, I was talking about desynchronizing the guns. So, she did talk. I am going to have to tear her apart like an overcooked chicken. But I'll do that off camera. But desynchronizing the guns and spreading around the damage, so you just sort of wave along the length of an enemy vessel, and at longer ranges you're going to be missing a lot of these shots, so you sort of slow that down. But when you spread out the damage across different areas of a vessel in War Thunder, it generally tends to not only disable more of their systems, which can prevent them from counterattacking or maneuvering, or getting a good read, or having the little lead indicator show up for you if you take out their fire director or their little computer room, the nerds screaming and backing up their save game files and losing their config files. It just really screws with the aiming. But when you spread out damage like that, not only does it disable the enemy ship in terms of, countering you, but it also kills them faster. So it's sort of a double advantage. It feels like a 40 or 50% advantage, all things said and done. So desynchronizing the guns for these fast firing ships, especially things like light cruisers, heavy cruisers that really rely on volume of fire as opposed to like an alpha strike damage, it makes a lot of sense, and it tends to be sort of one of the hidden secrets of War Thunder Naval right now. And I talked about Japanese torpedoes. I wanted to mention specifically the Mikuma, this class of ship. I think there is a regular tech tree version. It might be the best Japanese ship in Naval right now. It has the incredible long lance torpedoes with 12 tubes that each have a quick reload, so they reload rapidly one time, and then you go through, if you're in arcade, you go through the reload cycle, as you can see us doing now. Or if you are in RB, I think you might be able to reload torps on a cap zone. I can't really remember. I don't play a lot of RB anymore. And then it has these incredible guns. Not super fast firing, but you've got 15 of them. They're not slow firing either. I think it's like a 10-12 second reload time, which for a light cruiser is pretty good. Decent survivability, although definitely not the best. You start taking hits in the front of the ship, and you're going to have ammo racks going off all the time, which is one of the reasons why we have a very low ammo count on this ship. I really should carry more now that ammo racks are not quite as much of a one tap as they used to be. Naval's gone through a ton of changes in terms of the way damage works. It's it's really been transformed 3, 4, 5 times in huge ways, and then little ways all the time. So tactics change, strategies change, but Mikuma is just an incredible 6.0 ship. It might be the best ship overall at 6.0 when you consider what it has going for it. It has speed, it has decent survivability, it's got the airplanes that can do things for you like cap a zone or build a smoke screen. It has the ridiculous long-range torpedoes. It has 15 reasonably fast-firing guns with an insane accuracy, veloce. Their velocity on the armor-piercing rounds is just madness, and I apologize. I think that guy just spawned in, and these things happen. So you turn away from people that you're ramming into, because get out of their way. Please be kind, rewind, and nobody likes an asshole. So you yourself are actually going to benefit from showing kindness in a situation like this. Instead of figuring out who's wrong and deciding that it's someone else, just do your best to make their day a little bit better, and hit that T33 while you're at it. It really does benefit you to try and help people out, and to be sorry when you do something inconvenient for somebody else, genuinely, from the heart. It has an internal effect on you that really can be life-changing when you embrace that. And here's my Brooklyn making creature sounds directly into the directional mic, and her body will be discovered by hikers deep in the Himalaya mountains. Just kidding. I like that kid. I think she's great. What was I talking about? So Japan, Mikuma, Shimakaze, and then there's that other destroyer. It's what's it called? I'm just gonna alt Tabitha real quick to take a look at her. Was it the Yudachi? Yeah, I think Yudachi. And then there's Yubari as well. Yubari. One of them is a GE premium, and the other one is a marketplace premium. And I just picked up the marketplace one today because it has the long lines torpedoes, and not really much else going for it, but it's a little bit more maneuverable than Shimakaze, and it is a premium. But I brought out Mikuma here, and I think we're going to get like 200,000 Silver Lions without a booster, and that kind of stuff can happen on a fairly regular basis. I think between this and the BV238, these are the biggest SL printers I've ever had in the game, and the Newport News can almost get that much without even having the premium vehicle bonuses, because it's just so stupidly good at dishing out damage. But Mikuma here, we just kind of got ignored by everyone here. We're still we're gonna rack up, I think, another 2 kills from torpedoes, even after abandoning the ship, because I was out of ammo and I had things to do. So I wanted to jump into Shimakaze here and put a 15 wrong rants broadside into the enemy spawn area, and I did want to talk about that. So there's a lot of like scummy things you can do in War Thunder Naval, but really this is like war is hell, and PvP has to be balanced based upon what the players are allowed to do within the regular use of the game. And you are actually doing a service to the PvP community by using the scummiest tactics possible, that are within the fair use of the game mechanics, because that teaches the community to defend themselves, and it also teaches the game developers where the problems are in the game, and it feels good to do hoorah shit with your friends. So basically what I'm telling you is, long lance torpedo the enemy spawn from your spawn, because naval map design is the biggest Achilles heel of naval, and there's just some maps where you won't be able to even get torpedoes on target in the first 5 minutes of a match. And if you're in a weak little vessel and anyone on the enemy team is directly targeting you, you will not survive for 5 minutes in a match. So there's just situations in naval where this is not going to work at all. And I mentioned Achilles heel, and when it comes to most of the Japanese long lance carrying vessels, they really rely on their torpedoes to get anything done. Mikuma is an exception. It is exceptional. It has some of the best cannons in the game, compared to the things that it faces, compared to its peers, and very, very easy to learn, very easy to use. Desynchronize your guns and just shred things from 10 plus kilometers away. You don't need to close to a closer distance, and you can still even maneuver a little bit, although the what's it called, the roll on Japanese warships tends to be absolutely abysmal, and you can see that here even in Shimakaze, which is not the worst offender. Some of the Japanese ships just they almost capsize during what in arcade would be ordinary maneuvers. So I think a little bit of that is that the sea-keeping models of these War Thunder naval ships are not all, not everything is really considered that would have been implemented to enhance the sea keeping of these vessels. But also, I think it comes down to the fact that Japan tended to design a lot of these fast, narrow, long vessels that can put out a high speed and then start to do horrible things when you lean on the rudder. That's just, that's sort of how their ships function, and I think they actually have less of a tendency in the game to capsize than they would have had in real life. So all that is to say, they're kind of ass when you start to wiggle around, so that is something to keep in mind. There's a USSR destroyer that's just really cool. It has a great balance of guns, usable torpedoes, and just fantastic maneuverability, and the ability to keep guns on target while maneuvering. And you look at the stat card of this thing and you think, well, this thing sort of lags behind everything. Why is it at 5.3? And then you start actually moving it around, especially after playing something like Shimakaze here, and you're like, oh, I get it now. I think we're gonna eat this torpedo. So this might be the time where I eat a torpedo in Shimakaze, because this thing is 17 limousines long, with all of the weight of Japanese overcompensation completely paizuring its maneuverability. But it's just a matter of trade-offs, right? Things that don't show up on the stat card, will this thing roll over like a tired whore when you're trying to do a 180, or will it just spin in a tight little circle and actually keep the guns on target? So turret rates, it just basically what I'm saying is test sail everything and try new things. The battle ratings in Naval actually, and they actually make a pretty good amount of sense. And 1 versus 1, there's some clear winners here. And when it comes to torpedoes, it's Japan. Every time. And when it comes to cannons, it's USA. Fairly consistently. And when it comes to everything else, it's pretty much USA. They really do have the best toys. But, you can find your place somewhere in the naval. You can find your way. I know you must be strong. Take the salt and just, I don't know, do your best. And that's below my register, but 200,000 silver lions sweetens the pot nicely. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I don't know why you've been listening to me this long. It's been nice to get back to talking on the microphone, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.